Welcome to March Mentor Month. Last year, I brought you an interview with my mentor, Judith Moreland. Today, I want to share some tools needed to improve your craft. Notice I said improve. I didn't say make you good at or make you great at. Greatness takes time, takes years of persistent and consistent preparation. When I first put thoughts before the committee on the subject for this presentation, it was solely speaking from an actor's perspective. But as I dug deeper, I realized it applies to all we do, all we teach here. Acting, directing, playwriting, stage management, design elements, dramaturgy, all we offer when it comes to this art form. Because essentially that's why you're here. You had a passion, a desire to make it in this world of theater. You've developed a belief system in yourself where there's no doubt you can do this. I'm always amazed at the talent that walks through our doors. What I love is each walked in with that same belief you possess. It's important to understand, though, that talent alone is not enough. What each of those students who went on to achieve success had in common is a work ethic to do more than what was asked, a crystallized thinking, grabbing all the knowledge they could while here. Napoleon Hill describes it as doing more than paid for. So when I go into those tools needed to improve your craft, it will mostly be centered around the work ethic to do more than asked of. One of the beautiful things about working at this college is I've had the opportunity to collaborate with the geniuses we have on staff. To think that I've had award-winning scenic and lighting designer Francois Pierre Couture design 3 of my productions is mind-blowing. When I saw the sets, lights, costume, makeup design for one of our productions, Tartuffe, I knew we can compete with anyone. Community colleges are universities. You're truly blessed to have an opportunity to work with some incredible individuals who all do more than teach. They have their professional worlds that they have taken many current and former students with them to assist on those projects, giving them valuable opportunities to earn while still learning. They mentor. They share the fabulous internships you have available through such legendary companies like the Center Theater Group, who, by the way, has co-sponsored these March Mentor Month events for the past 2 years. Or Noise Within, a classical theater company who have for years privately auditioned and cast our actors for their summer repertoire season. A relationship built by our recently retired faculty member Kelly Hogan, the creator of the Summer Shakespeare Intensive. Gabriela Mendoza, one of our former students, received an acting fellowship there this year. The list goes on and on. Take advantage of it. There's not a community college in the country doing it like us, whose students for the last 7, 8 years have won regional and national awards. When I first started here in 2006, there were 6 instructors. Now look at us. Faculty and staff, 22 strong. Look at our facilities, our stages, our scene shop, our costume shop, our prop room. Under the guidance of Jenny Jacobs, many of our stage managers have gone on to work professionally. Gloria Brasino, one of our stage managers for Appropriate, is currently applying her skills at the Actors Game for a production which opened this past weekend. Stephanie Lopez, my stage manager for Den of Thieves. LA Opera, technical manager. Long Beach Opera, production manager. Music Academy of the West, production manager. So many of our past designers have found their career, their labor of love. Chris Solis, while here, took an internship in Philadelphia. Later went on a national tour as a master electrician and is currently a master electrician for the Will Turn Theater here in Los Angeles. Mark Vallejo, a former student, was recently brought on board to teach Introduction to Theater, after receiving his master's from UCLA for directing. I'm proud to say I've had the privilege to work with Mark since he was in high school at Garfield. He's worked as an assistant director on one of my productions and as a choreographer on 2 others. Another former student, Peter Mendoza, an actor, has performed at the Mark Taper Forum and as the title role character Elliot at the Kirk Douglas Theater, and now has a guest starring role for the upcoming season of Perry Mason. I used to pick up Peter in Gardena so he wouldn't be late for my rehearsals to House of Ramon, because he always wanted to be on time. My mentor, Judith Moreland, after watching that performance asked, "Was that a real slap?" I said, "Yeah, Peter told me he wanted to be slapped for real, so it looked good." She said, "I don't think that was a good idea." But by this time, there were only 2 performances left. If it's not broke, don't fix it, right? Wrong. Next performance, Peter took a slap so hard the whole audience felt it. First thing I thought is, I'm about to lose my job. I knew if that didn't stop him, nothing was. Not surprised by his achievements at all. And how about Stephanie Galindo? Started out as a mascot in high school, came to ELAC and trained in movement, voice, and mask, earned her a fellowship at the Actors Gang, where she is still currently studying and working. She's in that production I Saved Gloria as stage manager. She also performs professionally all around LA as drag king Charles Galen. Took home first place at a drag competition. It's what I mean by persistent and consistent. One of my fondest memories of her was being at festival, waiting for an event to start, and I hear the crowd going crazy, screaming, excitement's in the atmosphere, and I look around and it's Stephanie getting a crowd of 1,000 people pumped before the show. ELAC, we doing it. And one of my all-time favorites, Jasia Topete, made it in the final 16 of the Irene Ryan competition for her work in the play Chavez Ravine, directed by Ramiro Segovia. Mind you, this competition had 350 competitors from over 150 colleges. Before the night was over, in addition to making the finals, she took home 2nd place for classical acting and 1st place for voice and articulation. It earned her a fellowship to study in Ireland for the summer. She's become a lead in 2 of my shows. Will graduate in May with a degree from Cal State Long Beach. East Los, y'all. And another ELAC legend, Ron Trejo, chose a different path and has had several of his films entered in film festivals after receiving his master's in filmmaking from USC. Recently sold a script to the Peacock Network. I've never had a chance to work with Ron, but I noticed how he was always working on the homes of different faculty members, and I was like, where did he learn all that? That's right, ELAC, in our scene shop. Our Stefan Azul, a former student, and another award-winning designer. He's been recently hired as a full-time staff member of major importance to our theater department. I remember him being disappointed not making the finals at the festival for his work on Judas Iscariot. And believe me, he had every reason to be, because he had Purgatory popping. It was a light show. When I arrived at the school in the morning, he was working on those lights. When I left at night, he was still working, doing more than asked. The next year, he was flown to the Kennedy Center after receiving top honors for lighting design in our region for the work he did on Shakespeare's Measure for Measure, directed by Ramon Ramos. The images were illuminating. Karen Barraza didn't have to stay here long, is working professionally and killing it in commercials, TV, and film. She was a girl who ran up to me and said, I took your acting class at Roosevelt High. I didn't remember. At that point, I was fully involved at Garfield High School. Then I saw her in a production of The Importance of Being Earnest, directed by David Scott. After the play, I was like one of her biggest fans, you know, a big groupie, running up to her. Yeah, I remember you now. She probably was like, yeah, right. And how about Clifton Smith, the first actor from our campus to win a national award for acting for his work on our production of Kindred in Utah. His ability to break a script down into beats has influenced how I've worked with every actor since. His attention to details has served him well as a writer. He has a project in development for an animation series on Black Cowboys. And Gabby Maldonado, featured in the CTG film with Culture Class, reprising the role she had played on our stage, and that's right, Chavez Ravine. A play that fueled a night of winning 13 of 30 awards that presented at the regional festival. She's currently rehearsing for a play reading she has in just over a week with one of Culture Class founding members. Years earlier, she performed at Festival in a Devised piece, and later in Appropriate. One of those awards won that night was by Michael Moretta for sound, where he displayed a powerhouse of work, such as an original music score for, again, Chavez Ravine. I knew him as a guy working in the scene shop. But I really met Mike when he walked into one of my auditions and told me, I'm not here to audition, I just want to help my friend. I'm like, cool. But my high school students from Garfield, who I'd given the task of casting that show, said when he walked out, he was better than everyone. He later walked back in and asked to audition. I had to think about it. But of course, they cast him. He has now taken his talents to the financial world, where he's known for giving seminars on how to succeed in that world. Whatever you decide to do in life, the lessons learned in theater will help. Theater makes you better. If you want to be a doctor, theater makes you better. If you want to be a lawyer, theater makes you better. Every profession in the world requires communication, and nothing helps you communicate like theater. Then there's Roberto Andrade, completed the PAC program with Local 705 motion picture costumers, and is now a union member working on television and film costumes. And can we forget Megan Imes? Graduated from ELAC, completed her bachelor's degree from Cal Arts in costumes. She then moved on to a production management position with Kaiser Permanente Education Theater Program, and is also studying for another higher education degree. Alex Jimenez, another one of our students from Garfield, came here with the determination of a firecracker, no fear. She once asked if I could meet her at UCLA for an audition she had scheduled for entrance into that program. She wanted to go where I went? How could I turn her down? We get there, and they are auditioning over 2,000 people for only 65 slots. It didn't go the way we planned. But do you think that stopped her? No, it didn't. She received a degree from Lambda, the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts. ELAC Theater is represented all around the world. Priscilla Buena designed 2 of my shows and acted in 1, and applied and did get into UCLA. When UCLA saw the pictures of the work she had done here, they couldn't believe it was the work of a student. They couldn't deny her. One of only 2 undergraduate designers they brought in that year. Marcelo Olivas on Black Jesus and that scary killer character on Snowfall. Mario Arciniega directing plays all around town. Danny Munoz and all he's done with the Company of Angel. Cesar Carmona, McDonald commercial, persistent and consistent. Blanca Espinosa in films and music videos and building her brand. Angeline Story, props coordinator for the Center Theater Group. Robert Arriaga, Robert Anaya, Andy Tanaka, Joe Mejia, Heather McLean, Marty, Candace, Gracie, Sarah, Sebastian, Manny, Byron, Mario, Susan, Suhaiti, Rhea, Frank, Miguel, Samantha, Crispy, Jasmine, Lorena, Marissa, Neville, Marianne, Martin, Evan, Casey, the Michaels, the Chris's, the Andreas, Joseph Darby, California Joe. Those are all names who have rocked here at ELAC and continue to rock in life. I could keep going. There's not another college in America with that many former students rocking. Still not sure? Still wondering, can you really improve your craft here? The many examples from students who have started with the same ambitions as you was not enough to convince you? Walt Disney said the best way to get started is to stop talking and begin doing. It's okay to have doubts. We can't stop the thoughts which flow into our heads, but you can combat them with positive affirmations, with hopes and dreams, which must go hand in hand with a tremendous work ethic. There'll always be those that tell you you're not good enough. You won't make no money doing that. I beg to differ. So how can we start to improve our craft? Well, for me, it always starts with goal setting. Writing down in your journal your short, medium, and long-range goals. Letting your eyes follow as you see words go to page. Utilizing the senses of sight and touch at the same time. Magical work for the subconscious. For instance, a short-range goal could be something as simple as, I plan to receive an A in all my theater courses this semester. Listen clearly, it's not enough to just write it down. You must make a conscious effort to see it through to reality. Putting in extra work. Doing more than ask. Asking questions of your mentors if there's anything you don't understand. A medium-range goal may be to graduate with an AA or AAT degree from East Los Angeles College. That's a great medium-range goal that can definitely be accomplished, that has been accomplished by many from this department. Seek counseling on the proper steps to take. We have instructors in our department who are very knowledgeable on those steps. One in particular, Jessica Hansen, is very instrumental in the guided pathways for our college. And we have others who can direct you to the general education core courses you'll need to take simultaneously. And for sure, you should also seek advice from the counselors on campus. And look into other available resources, which are many. We are doing it. A long-range goal could be to finish your bachelor's, or to continue on with your master's, or to just get out there and start doing it. This process of actually visualizing yourself accomplishing your goals is a lifelong endeavor. Are you up to it? I said, are you up to it? Yeah. Can you do it? Yeah. Yes, you can. So say it. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. You know you must set goals. You know you got to write them down. Another thing to help improve our craft is you need to know what it is you want. See, this is a big thing for actors. We're always searching for what we want. What is our objective? What is our action? How do we plan to get it? But this is not something just for actors. Designers, playwrights, directors, each must know what they want. If you want to improve, know your wants. But this is very important. In order to know your wants, you'll need verbs. That's right. Lesson we learned in English class. One of our faculty members, Jim B., he has the best explanation I ever heard. He told me, if you can't say I want to in front of the word, then it's not a verb. It's not an action. He's right. I mean, you can't say I want to happy. I want to sad. I want to angry. Those are feelings, emotions, results. The audience is not going to feel sad because they see you playing sad. They're impacted when they see you going through what brought on that experience, that condition. Watching you cry won't make them cry. What made you cry? Now, they have books on the subject. One I like is Action, an Actor's Thesaurus. But, hey, you don't have to buy a book. You can search online for acting verbs and action verbs. I have a lot to cover in a short time, but it wouldn't be right for me to tell you to have verbs and not explain a little bit about how to use them. But before moving on, I want you all to know there are different opinions about the correct way to get a stellar performance from an actor. I'm not here to say which is right, which is wrong. I'm simply humbly sharing what has worked for me over the years. But I am a little biased. Having 3 of my former instructors learn from Lee Strasberg. So most of what you'll hear, I got from somewhere else. Took what I like, formed my own technique, and I call it acting Compton style. Homage to the city I'm from, known for more than our rap stars. I really can't take credit for that. My close friend Todd has been on me to write a book for years. We kind of came up with that title together. So how do we use verbs? For an actor, you can start with bracketing each sentence, meaning put these brackets around the complete sentence from the capital letter until you get to the period, exclamation point, or question mark. This makes you aware of the playwright's complete thought. Then ask yourself, with that complete thought in mind, what do I want from this actor across from me? Well, if the sentence were something like, why were you there? If your character was a detective, your verb could be, I want to interrogate, I want to intimidate, I want to blame. Notice I had more than one choice? It's not a good practice to limit yourself with one verb. A problem that could arise from doing so is saying the line the same way every time in rehearsal, thus leading to the same delivery when the curtain opens. The thought of there being a better choice never crossed your mind. When you limit your choices, you are stuck with the way you remembered the line. Changing your verb changes your action, changes your delivery. What happens if the actor across from you decided to change their delivery, made a discovery during the last performance and brought a stronger choice? Obviously, if you delivered the line the same way, it would not match. So one way to improve our craft is to have several verbs for each complete thought, each beat. Your journal should be full of verbs. They come with a stronger choice. You were waiting on it. Now you're having fun, playing on stage, bringing something new in the moment. Designers must also have more than one want. I want to entice. I want to captivate. I want to engage. Here's a little story one I knew designers had once. I was directing a production of The Last Days of Judas Iscariot. The most amazing part is it was entirely designed by students. First time the department took that risk. But I was game. Let's see what they got. Early on during the rehearsal process, I noticed they were coming often to watch, taking notes. And although I allowed it, I must admit, it made me a little uncomfortable at first. Then I started to see the benefits of them always being there. This was not a designer run-through. This was a group of student designers making a calculated decision to all attend at least 2 rehearsals each week throughout the entire rehearsal process. Doing more than asked. I had to check an actor because he said, tell the props. I said, man, I don't need to hear all that. The prop master has it covered. And the prop is not the problem with this scene. You need to find some verbs. The next day, she walked in and handed the actor a staff. She had left the rehearsal and went and worked on it for hours after we were all gone. Moses would have wanted that staff. Actor walked up to me and said, this is what I need. Again, I didn't need to hear it. Theater is a collaborative art form. Those student designers taught me how to trust. They went on to be the first recipients of the Kennedy Center American College Theater Festival Collaborative Art Design Award. They received that award on a stage in Hawaii. I was asleep in Los Angeles when they called, all screaming from the stage for their acceptance. ELAC, we are doing it. From the chair to faculty to staff to the student actors, designers, and playwrights, we all must know what we want. If you really intend to get it, what verbs are you playing? Another way to improve our craft, knowing where you came from, knowing who you're talking to and where you're going. I learned this valuable lesson from Salome Jens, an actress and acting coach and one of those I mentioned who had studied with Lee Strasberg. I was rehearsing a scene from Burn This, playing the character Pell. She stopped me after I knocked on the door 3 times. Boom, boom, boom. I was kind of pissed because she hadn't allowed me to say my line. She said, "What was that?" I replied, "I was knocking on the door, waiting for her to answer." She then said, "Well, where were you coming from?" I said, "I wasn't coming from anywhere. This is the beginning of the play." She looked at me like that was the stupidest thing she ever heard. And then proceeded to tell me that I was just in a fight at the bar. And after I left there, I came here to talk to this woman who knew my dead brother. But before coming upstairs to knock on the door, a person stole my parking space. And I went to the trunk of my car, grabbed a tire iron, and busted out his window. It hit me. Those are lines I was going to say later once I was inside the apartment. With this new knowledge, I obviously would not knock on the door like this, knock, knock, knock. You must know where you're coming from. Same goes for who are you talking to. In my last show I directed, a monologue show, I asked one of the actors early in the process, "Who are you talking to?" He said, "I'm talking to the audience." I'll only say, and you know me, most likely I cursed. I told y'all this was acting Compton style. You must know who you're talking to. I mean, you could be talking to the audience, but it's not the audience before you. They don't want to be drawn into the play. They came there to observe. Why do you think the lights are down on them and up on you? If you're speaking with an actor on stage, you're not speaking to your best friend Bobby. You're speaking to a character who has a very unique backstory which sprung from the seeds planted the first time they read the script. Always know where you're coming from, who you're talking to, and where you're going. Then you'll never leave the stage lazy, but instead with a purpose. Another way to improve our craft. This one is for those actors who get cast in shows or for those working on a scene in a class. Once you put in the work, get off book as fast as you can, fast as possible. I'm serious. Waiting to learn your lines until the last moment doesn't help anyone. You, the director, the stage manager, or your scene partner. Matter of fact, I've seen it annoy fellow cast members because now you're stopping their work. My friend Spencer Cranber always say, first you learn the lines, then you forget the lines, then you play the lines. You can't play if you don't know them, not thinking about them. Yeah, it's a crutch. There to support you, but oh, it's so much better if you don't need it anymore. It's all about getting those reps. Get off book, get those reps. All my cast know I'm all about reps. I always say 10 reps a day. See, that's 70 reps a week, 140 reps in 2 weeks. There's not going to be a better actor in America when you get 280 reps in 4 weeks. Think of all the verbs you can play. Another way to improve our craft is to make a habit of journaling. You must do more than ask. You cannot be afraid to compete. Whether you're an actor, designer, stage manager, playwright, you must fall in love with competition. First, with yourself, making sure everything you do is better than the last thing you did, and if not, at least you made a great effort. Then competing against your peers, then competing against anyone, using each defeat as a learning experience which will eventually propel you to, like Zig Ziglar says, see you at the top. He describes it as a way where you must take a ladder, making sure that you take every step, not missing a single run, elevator out of order. Now, this note is specifically meant for all you actors. You should run and add every class taught by Vanessa Mazzone Pellegrini. Voice 1, voice 2, movement, voice and body are essential to improving our craft. There's always something new to learn. The book she uses, Speak with Distinction, is like the Bible. Who knew there were so many sounds and vowels? I remember when I was in grad school, all the instructors and directors told me about my downward endings. They tried hard to help me hear what they were hearing. I mean, I had it bad, meaning I was bad. Tony Award-winning director Mel Shapiro told me, Rodney, do you realize that every time you walk on stage, the scene dies? And I'm like, damn, every time? You see, when you hit those downward endings, you've killed the scene. Audience start looking at the lights, looking at the watch and the phone to see what time it is. There's no reason for the other actor to speak when you go down on the ends of sentences. My ear was developed years after grad school, when those lessons from Judith Moreland finally clicked. It took watching a play where all the actors were doing it. Instantly, I knew what I'd been doing. I could hear it clearly. I heard those who talk like me, and talking like me sometimes don't work on stage. All seriousness, though. As soon as the semester ends, rush to add Vanessa's classes for the fall. Don't be like me and learn years later and miss out on the phenomenal guest artists that she has attend her classes, like the wonderful Rebecca Davis, a voiceover artist who specializes in animation and has worked on films like Incredible 2 and Disney Lego Friends and video games like Last of Us Part 2 and World of Warcraft, who was a winner of the SOVIS, Society of Voice Artists in Sciences, for Best Trailer. Vanessa also brought in Spencer Cranber, who I mentioned earlier. He can tell you anything you want to know about commercial casting because he does it every day, behind and in front of the camera. These are tremendous gifts Vanessa has provided for you. Another must for all actors. You must take script analysis, a class taught by Jim Buglewitz. Having the ability to break down a script backwards and forwards will follow you long after you left our beautiful campus. And speaking of campus, who wouldn't want to study here? Not to mention the Music and Dance Building right across from us and the Vincent Price Art Museum right behind us. This is the perfect place to be for an artist. Actors. Christina Frias is teaching an acting for the camera class, which shouldn't be missed, if for no other reason than the center use, because sometimes when you're playing these large characters on stage, you forget it's all right here, the camera, the mic. You spend so much time projecting to the back of the house that now that you're on camera, you're screaming. Those 2 acting for the camera classes I took with Gil Cates were very instrumental for my development as a director. He told me, if your scene doesn't have exposition, conflict, and resolution, you'll lose the audience. Anyone who has taken my class has heard the same. Well, that's where I got it from the man who was the former president of the Directors Guild and produced 16 Academy Awards. Designers, don't miss the opportunity to work with Francois, Jessica, and Nate while you're here. Take several classes from each, just to be certain of the best area suited for you. It's not always going to be your first choice. And don't just work with them, but excel in the knowledge they have to share. Trust me, when you get to the university, you'll be ahead of the game. Olympian swimmer Michael Phelps said, I think goals should never be easy. They should force you to work, even if they're uncomfortable at the time. Set your goals to design and to win, like Jocelyn Tamayo, a recent graduate who was so shy she couldn't walk into my acting class. Another student had to go outside and brought her in, but was later nominated for an Irene Ryan Acting Award for her work she put forth in that class. And eventually found her real calling, taking home top prize for costume design. Her first time competing. This month she was spotlighted by the Center Theater Group for all her accomplishments in the past year, which were numerous. She was just cast in a show at the university she attends. I tell actors casting my shows, they should want to be the best one in the play, even if you're not the lead. Make the audience notice you. Make the director realize they made a mistake not giving you a lead role. ELAC, we doing it. To the student playwrights, directors, stage managers who work during the winter break, the winter one-act showcasing all your talents was something long overdue. It was a special night of collaboration with actors. Too much time has passed since Will Pellegrini and I directed those one-acts. Congrats. You deserve a standing ovation, and I'm giving you one right now. Looking forward to the big things you'll bring in the future. Demetra, Christina, Jenny, Vanessa, having you four women, mentors working together, is an unstoppable combination. Now, this is where some of you might not like me. When my Compton comes out, where I have to be careful not to be canceled. All us mentors have those things which don't work for us. For this, I only can speak with the actors. I'm sure all the other mentors have those things that don't work for them. But the first one for me is actors whose eyes live in the sky and live on the floor. When I see actors continuing to look up, reminds me of when Ellen Gear of the Theatrical Britannicum asked me, "What are you looking at?" Shoot, I was looking for Jesus to give me my line because I couldn't remember it at the time. And that's exactly what it looks like when you're looking up there that long. It looks like you're trying to remember your line. When your eyes live on the floor, all the audience see is your forehead. And your character comes across as depressed and lost, which doesn't match if your verb is to entertain, to excite, to destroy. Knowing how to always make actions match, being aware of that, improves your craft. Another thing that don't work for me, actors slapping themselves all the time. It becomes a habit. And before you know it, the audience has heard the actor hit their side 10 to 15 times during the course of the play. I find myself getting mad. An actor came up to me once and asked what I thought about his performance. I mean, it wasn't my show. I shouldn't have answered. It was a trap. But I blurted out, "Why are you always hitting yourself all the time? I counted like 20 times. He said, "The director told me to do it." Oh, like I said, a trap. But being aware of that improves our craft. Because if you do it now in a play after hearing me mention it, whether the director said it or not, you know it has to mean something. A tactic, total frustration, a result which came from an action. And if that's the reason, then it's acceptable. But please don't let me hear it more than twice, because now you got me counting again. And a big one for me, the actor who corrects themselves by repeating the line when it didn't come out correct the first time. If the playwright wrote it once, we need to only hear it once. I call those double takes. You acting like you write better than the playwright. He should have put it in there twice. No, you should have said it just once. Double take. I invented that phrase. Although there's another professor here, Romero, who uses it, so we may have to debate the origin. But the point of the matter is, do not get in the habit of correcting yourself. Trust me, you got this. I know I gave you a lot real fast, but there is a major thing I must add that I left out to the list of things which improves our craft. Something I hinted at earlier, character backstory. This is where the real fun comes in, where your journal is really needed, where your imagination is put to a test. Put it with verbs, where you came from, who you're talking to, where you're going, and I'd say you've improved your craft. So what is backstory? It's who your character is. The script only gives you so much information, but your character is so much more. Just off the top of my head, where you from? Have any siblings? Parents alive? Why do you do what you do? Once you've answered the hundreds of questions about yourself, you have backstory. Uta Hagen has a great starting point she describes in her book, Respect for Acting. My intermediate acting class spends weeks on backstory alone. It presents a richer character for the audience. They'll know they saw a real person who has been through some things. I heard Viola Davis had 35 notebooks for backstory from one of her roles. And speaking of my intermediate acting class, that's the class which has been putting up shows at the end of each semester for 12 years, utilizing developed writing skills. It would be nice if you all took a playwriting class from Demetra, because before you get to me, I should say. Talking about being prepared for what you're about to step into, she would have you ready, because I can't give you what she can. And if you want to be the most organized person you know, take stage management from Jenny Jacobs. I told you our stage managers are out there getting paid before they even finish school. When I'm done with you soon, I'll welcome questions on any of these things that you've heard tonight. And if you want to talk about things you can do, I'm here. If you want to talk about fears you may have encountered, I'm here. Feel free to share. Theater is a welcoming community. We want you here. We want you to succeed. We want you to take this journey with us. And we're all here to ensure that you get whatever it is you need to accomplish your goals. But before I close, I would like to mention the people who really make the engine of ELAC Theater run smoothly. At the head is our chair, Lisa Hashimoto Stone. She works more than anyone I know to see to it that we have everything we need to stay on top. She recently received an award for being the best chair on the entire campus. And we wouldn't be where we are without our phenomenal staff. Efren, who runs our scene shop. Colleen, who runs our costume shop. Nate, who runs our sound, anything technical, and so much more I don't even understand. I once heard a quote, "Genius is not necessarily having the knowledge, but knowing where to get the knowledge when you need it." My genius is, I go to Nate. And if he doesn't have the answer, he will real soon. Stephen, who I mentioned before, you should all thank him for our new look of our prop room. And Natalie Wong, who every day bless the department with her willingness to help us all with whatever we need, whether it's my computer or can you check this, make sure it's grammatically correct. Get to know each of those individuals while you're here. You'll thank me later. In closing, I'd like to share a conversation with a fellow director who asked, how are you able to consistently get performance from student actors? You see, I've had some hard instructors. First day I met Delia Salvi, author of the book Friendly Enemies, and also one of those who studied under Lee Strasberg. She cursed me out, told me, get the F out of here, don't come back till everybody else is finished. She didn't say F. She said that because she saw I had not put in the work. Again, I was bad. She had every right. I had disrespected the craft. So when I answered that question, I told him, I always let students know when they are bad. Because if you put in a little work, you'll be average. With continued work, you will improve from there every time. So being average is a choice. And I always let my students know they're better than that. Make the choice to always improve. Know thyself and focus on you. I'll leave you with a quote from Don Zimmer. What you lack in talent can be made up with desire, hustle, and given 110% all the time. Hope some of that helped. Acting, Compton style. Thank Thank you, guys. Were there any questions from Zoom or out here, about what I said? I'm open. I'm down.
Any questions for Rodney?
Anything from Zoom? Anything out here?
Checking here on the Zoom and the Zoom room.
No questions? See, that makes it better. Y'all got it all. Yeah. What's a good way to get off book? See, you almost made me cuss, Sebastian. But I'll just say, get your reps in, dude. Over and over and over again. Like I tell you, 10 reps a day. That's 70 a week. 140 in 2 weeks. 280 in 4 weeks. I mean, that's the best way to get off book. And it's easier, like I said, when you break it down into beats. If you separate the beats, the complete thoughts, it makes the memory go a lot faster. Anything else? Yes, sir.
Why is listening an important component of acting?
Okay, that's Peter Mendoza, y'all. You'll see him on Perry Mason this year. So why is listening a component well, however you said it, I got it. So let me just say this. If you do not listen, then you're not responding. You're just saying your line. And if you're not responding to what that person say, we as an audience will not believe any of it. So it's action, reaction. Action, reaction. Listen clearly. It's funny because Ramiro just was talking about this earlier, Peter. Listening is one of the most important things you can do. And it's funny when he mentioned that, I said, dang, I was supposed to put listening in my speech, but I had not. So thank you, Peter, for bringing that up because, hey, it's all about you have to hear what they say in order to respond.
Rodney, we have someone from Zoom. Michelle Garcia.
I hope someone can hear me. My name is Marge Phillips. So I'd like to ask Professor Scott, what inspired him and where did he start his beginning of studying the craft?
Okay, before you go with that question, I want to answer this. And I did hear you, Margie. So I told y'all Compton, right? So I started at Compton College. And I had some teachers there who were beasts. You all know one, Kelly Hogan, who taught here. She was my teacher, actually my first teacher at Compton College. And I also had a lady by the name of Deshaun Booker, who was a method actor, who helped me a lot when I got to UCLA and they were all teaching method. But what really made me go over the top, which got me my scholarships to all these different colleges, was the training I got from a man by the name of Dr. Peter J. Van Niel. He ran the Compton College Theater Department for years, and he had this style of acting called reality-based acting. And so that's why you guys always hear me talk about keep it real, keep it real. Well, that came from Peter. And so I would have to, Margie, thank you, because you get me to talk about Compton again, which they always hear me talk about Compton. Yeah, but it came from Compton. Peter J. Van Niel, keep it real. Because if it's not real, most likely the audience is not going to believe what you have to say. Thanks for that question.
Michelle Garcia, what inspired you to become a mentor?
What inspired me to become a mentor? Well, you heard me say that quote earlier, do more than paid for. So mentoring is one of our ways of doing more than paid for. And that's really a big benefit for us. So I never had a problem with giving of my time. So when an actor asks me, like, can you help me with this? I'm like, for sure. Like just this past weekend, Jasia, she works with middle school students, and she called me, can you come up there on Saturday? Because I'm gonna bring my class to see the birds, and so you can give them a tour of our facilities. I'm like, yeah. I really was like, hell yeah. But so yeah, it's doing more than paid for. That's what it is. Yes, yeah. Go ahead.
As a director, what do you look for in terms of plays that you want to do?
Oh, wow. Well, I'm going to go back to Compton. I talked about Kelly.
Right.
Kelly gave me the opportunity to play Othello, Macbeth, and Peter Quince, all Shakespeare leads. And when I left there, I went to another college in Arizona, and that was the first time I did a contemporary piece. Well, I kind of fell in love with it. And so from that point on, I only wanted to do things that the audience could relate to. I didn't want them, I wanted to put on hits. I wanted all my shows to be hits. And the best way to be hits is if the audience like what they see. Yeah. Yes, sir.
How do you get connected with the character?
How do you get connected with the character? I would say, learn your lines, get some damn verbs, and play those actions. And then you could put on any character you want if you're going for what you want. Yeah. Anything?
To kind of bounce off of his question?
Yes, sir.
If you're starting out,
Yes.
you're playing minor roles that probably have you in the scene more, but you don't say much and you're kind of in the background. How, as an actor, do you find the process to create a fully fledged character with so limited resources?
It's great that you said that. I remember reading a book on method acting, and there was a part in there where it was talking about this guy sitting at a bar, and he didn't have any lines. And they had famous actors in the scene, but people were paying attention to that guy at the bar. And so they went and asked him, how did you make us pay attention to you when the scene is going on? And he said, well, I had a book of matches right there. And I started tearing off a match. And each match, I started wondering, well, where did this come from? Well, this is paper. Paper comes from wood. So if you create a backstory to no matter how big your character is, if you have backstory, you have a fully engaged character. That man, he created a backstory of a sawmill, of a da-da-da-da, and he just took the audience on a journey with no lines. Yes. Anything else? All right, all right. Is that it? Thank you. Thank you all for Zoom, for coming. Appreciate it. Awesome. Good night.